it's kind of nice to have the beginning chit chat. Like I kind of like listening to that, but then you guys can't see it. So we'll need a place to like store that information so you guys can tune in. But
could be like unlisted YouTube videos potentially for now.
Yeah. So anyway, the long and short of it is I noticed that whatever my screen looked like, so if I changed the view, that's what it recorded, which is
I see.
But could you also record? Like if you wanted to, we could get different and then figure out which the best one is if we have trouble.
I was thinking about that too.
I've got the screen share as the main thing, so I'm recording that right now.
Yep. So I think there's two ways to do this. Through Zoom, which looks probably like the easier way, and then place video, record video during screen share, place video next to shared screen in the okay, I think that's what we want actually. And yeah, let's try that. Cool. And then I just hit record somewhere here. Oh, I need permission to record.
Okay. We're getting somewhere.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I don't know where that's going to be.
Ooh.
This really takes me back to my church projectionist days.
That's such a good role for you. I love it.
Yeah. Just endless seas of configuration dialogues and video routing. Love it. I wonder what timestamp to the recording means. Oh,
just file name.
I guess, but that seems like really like there's a whole setting
checkbox.
Yeah, I was hoping it'd be some like metadata file, but maybe that's too wishful.
That would be sweet.
Yeah. I'm wondering if I could also join.
You can right click on the participants.
Okay. All right, you are allowed to record, John.
Sweet. Okay. Also joined as my iPad here, just so I can see y'all. There we go. I could hide this, presumably. Maybe not. Yep, there we go. And okay, I think it's recording. Something's working. Sharing my screen. Yes.
Yep. We're going to infinity and beyond.
And I'm going to kill OBS for now. Okay, I think we may be ready.
Look at your tidy desktop.
Yeah, I try to keep it from overwhelming me, but desktops still overwhelm me. Okay, right. Opening up the editor, and here we are. Where to from here?
We did it. What are we doing?
Yeah, we're doing something. That much is clear.
Just got to make an HTML file, put an input in there, and then you're good.
Yes.
Oh yeah. What are we doing? We're doing a
text box and a submit
yeah,
button.
Text box.
Although they don't have to do anything necessarily.
Yes, that's fair. Yeah.
We set a low bar.
Yep.
Just okay. So for Next.js, does it come with any sort of like easy run helpers, like to launch it basically?
Yeah.
You know what those commands are?
So in the package.json, I've got some scripts. So
oh, nice.
Yep.
Cool.
There's yep.
We probably just want dev for now, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. Okie doke. That's got something on. That's great. All right. So I am a little familiar with the overall structure here, but I really have not worked a lot in React, so I'm going to be pretty, and never with Next. So I'm going to be pretty like exploratory here. So bear with me, everybody. I'm assuming we're going to want a new page, possibly a new route. What else?
New page is a good place to start.
What's awesome about Next.js is when you set up a new page, it's automatically a route too.
Oh, nice.
Okay.
So whatever file name you give it inside /page, inside the pages directory becomes /that at the site.
Okay. So should we just call it like home or something? Or right? And would this be a TypeScript file or a TSX?
Yeah, TSX. So TypeScript with the JSX support, which is what the React stuff is written in.
Cool.
Maybe take a look at the index pages reference too.
Yep. Okay. Should we define our style in here? Presumably, this will be our
Boom.
Boom.
what?
Half done.
Like halfway there.
Yeah.
Got something. Great.
Now all we need is a button.
So one React thing is that you don't write class, you write class name with a capital N. So it doesn't get mixed up with JavaScript classes.
That makes sense. Right. Input. Really want to define
Is there a
much
preferred
for
way to do like CSS styling in Next? Is it doing it in this like style block here?
That's a good question.
Yeah, so this is called styled JSX, which comes built into Next.js. They also support classic CSS files that are just like imports that you can do. But what this gets you with styled JSX is that if you have a JavaScript variable that affects the CSS in some way, like if you've got, you know, a disabled state, or if you want things to look different depending on your React state, this lets you just write JavaScript variables within this block right here that you have your cursor in.
Oh, so the style the style can directly change as a result of like state changes inside this. Okay.
That's cool.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What does the syntax for that look like?
Go ahead.
So let's say, for example, if you wanted to do color : and then so type in red or whatever, and then right at the start of dark gray, if you wanted to make this dynamic, you would put a $, curly brace, and then a closing curly brace, and now you can write JavaScript logic in here. So if you want to do like a ternary expression that's, you know, state equals dark gray, question mark dark gray, you know, you could write any kind of logic in there.
Right. And a state being
that'd be something that you would define.
We're going off of.
Yeah.
Yep. So like ready or something. Oops,
sure.
Where did I? And then okay, but I don't think we need to worry about that too much right now. That's nice to know. Let's see if that's actually being applied. Not yet. Colored dark gray. Although it may be that we need to do background.
You have to write something. Yeah, there you
There we go. Cool. Got styling. Now we need a button. And button will say post. By the way, if anybody has any like other, preferences for wording here, please let me know, because I'm just like going with what's easiest.
Comes to mind, yeah.
You get it in the
This is
page.
fun.
Yep.
All
All right.
love it.
So, shall we have the send button do something?
So, do you know how inputs in forms generally work in React?
No.
Okay, so what you typically want to do is define a state variable so that you can access the content of the input within your React logic. So if you go right above the return line, so maybe make a new line after number 3, and write in const square bracket, and then let's say text.
Is that going to be in or after?
Yeah, inside, and then comma, and then set text as like a function variable, function name. So set
like this.
Yep. No, just the and then after this equals. Sorry, outside the bracket. Use state. So use before.
Oh, use. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like as one word as well.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like that.
And then and then round parentheses, and then just an empty string. So a couple quotes inside.
Inside.
Yeah. So now if there's a shortcut here, because you have to import that use state function. So you can either do after React there, you can do comma, but with inside curly brackets. Oh yeah. So VS Code will also automatically pull stuff in for you, which is what it did above there. React itself needs to be outside the curly brackets.
Okay. So it's comma curly brackets like that?
Yeah. So the reason for that is that React itself is the default export from that module. Use state is an import that you have to kind of manually. Yeah.
That makes sense.
Cool. So you've got state now on the page. To actually tie it to that input, what you do is within the input HTML, do value equals, and then brackets text, and then outside the brackets on change equals, and then
like I'm assuming that.
Close, yeah. So onChange is a standard JavaScript event handler. So the parameter that it passes isn't the value, but rather an HTML event. So what you want to do is define a function in line there. So you can do event equals.
I'm assuming
inside the yeah. So event equals, and then greater than. Do you want to do like an arrow essentially? Yeah, but and then set text. And then inside the parentheses, event.target.value. This becomes more intuitive with time. There's some patterns here. Yeah.
Yep. Starting to make a little sense.
So now what you can do, if you want to go back to your browser, just kind of make sure that it still works, that you can type something into it.
Looking good.
So what you can do now to debug a little bit more is maybe do a console.log of that variable value.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that's within onChange, or should we do that within set text? And do we need to redefine set text?
Above the return. So basically every time that component renders, it would run that console.log, which is what happens if you just pop it in between there.
Got it. Like so.
Yep.
Cool. And that's going to be in our log.
Yep. Nice.
Delicious. Great.
Cool. So now you've got access to that text value and you can do whatever you want with it. So if you wanted to write a submit function or a post function, you can now just use that text variable value, pass it along to an API. Maybe what makes sense is to, go ahead.
Well, one interesting thing might be to have the button only show up after there's text in the input. Would the best way to do that be by conditionally styling it through CSS, or going a little more towards like the templating logic of like Flask and like the like?
Depends, I think. So with CSS, you could do animations and stuff, like if you wanted to fade in the button. But by default, unless you intentionally are trying to animate some state changes, I think you would go with the templating route. So just not render that component or that button if the logic doesn't check out.
Yeah. And how does templating HTML here look?
So open up a curly bracket. And now within this block, you can write JavaScript. So you can do like text.length greater than 0. And then, you can do a ternary expression, or you can do an ampersand if it's just a true or false kind of thing that you're checking. A ternary would let you do kind of like if not this, else this.
Yeah. I'm not sure I've seen the double ampersand. What is that?
So what that does is if the thing preceding it is true, then render the thing coming after it. Otherwise, it bails out.
Got it. So how would that just be not even escaped, just like that? Wow. Ooh, very nice.
There's like a lot of stuff with React where like it's a little janky at first, but then it becomes very intuitive, and it's like, oh, this is too easy.
Yeah. No. There's like after spending a lot of time in like vanilla JS, or I mean with like obviously some latest like helpers, this feels more sane for sure. This is like, okay, I'm just glad to be avoiding some hell.
Someone hacked JavaScript into HTML.
Pretty much.
Open a bracket, have JavaScript. Oh, great.
Yep. Love it.
One thing I think we could try here is if we want to write a placeholder like post or submit function, and maybe we just move the log statement to within that so that we can pick back up there later on.
Yep.
So the way to do that, go ahead.
Well, yeah, I'm assuming we're going to want to define a new function possibly outside of this. And
so if it's outside,
rewire on change.
If it's outside, you're not going to be able to access the text variable. Whereas if it's inside, it's within the scope of that component, so you'll be able to get it.
Got it. So maybe something like on submit. Is it defined as function here or something else?
Const is usually what I go with.
Cool.
And you want to put in equal sign, in between there. So equal before, and then arrow thing after the curly the parentheses. Yeah, just like it is up on line 3, basically.
Oh, I see. Const or definition. Okay.
And this is saying what? Like there's a function, it's saying where it's create a variable called onSubmit that is a function, and then defining the function after it.
Yep, that makes sense.
So what you could do is move the 10th line up into that function. And now what you want to do is call it from the button when that's clicked on.
Would that be through a standard onClick or something else? Cool. I'm assuming inside of this.
Exactly.
Oh, nice. Okay. That's working.
Ship it.
Would one thing also be to, like, after you submit, like, clear the text or something?
Mm-hmm. So if I'm understanding this correctly, we literally just do text. We assign a new value to text here and call it a day.
Yes and no.
Okay.
You got the concept
Yes and
right,
no.
but the syntax, there's a different method. So what you did inside the onChange, look at that pattern and try to reapply it to how to empty the text variable.
Right.
So at least how I understand this, Shahruz, and maybe you can correct me, is like when you defined this const at the top, this use state, you're kind of doing two things. One is like setting a variable that's going to hold some like what I would say is like almost immutable state content, unless it is called by the like set text function. And it by doing the like empty string, you're saying the initial state of that text variable is going to be the empty string.
Correct, yeah. That's all happening on line 4 there.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
And so the reason that you don't ever do like text equals directly is that it doesn't then tell React to go and re-render that component. But calling the function hooks it into React's own internal logic, so it knows to go and update whatever needs to be updated.
Yeah, so it's sort of like a pipeline, essentially, for reassigning values. Mm-hmm. Okay. And the one thing I didn't catch from CJ's question is use states, and then we're passing in an empty string. Is that like simply the initial value, or is that like also a reference to getting it from somewhere else, if that makes any sense? Like, is use state essentially just saying we want to use state for this variable, or is it saying access the state from somewhere else and assign it to that? But
no, it's creating a new kind of like storage area for that variable specifically. And then you can pass in whatever value as the initial value there. So it doesn't need to be like a constant that you define. If that is like a variable that you're getting passed from another component, you could pop that into use state there too.
Okay, that's okay. Makes sense. All right. Exciting. Shall we have our unsubmit button do something other than logging to console?
Yeah, we might have chosen too small of a task here. Took more time to figure out the audio.
I mean, yeah, that's a good sign, I suppose, though. It's better than the other way around.
Well,
yeah.
So there's like a little just meta. It's cool to see like the group like learn group study thing, and because Shahruz has done this, like use this language more, he's kind of teaching, but it's like enacted teaching, so it's kind of I don't like that's cool. This is
yeah. I mean, this is I had to build an entire app just copying and pasting patterns without knowing how anything worked. So this is great. I'm like learning how it all builds in. So
pretty much same. So this has been very fun.
So from here, where do you put it? Where does it go?
Yeah, we could explore some deployment stuff now. Actually, maybe wire up
a stream or a feed?
Our Netlify alternative.
Getting it on
whatever it's called. Vercel.
Vercel, yeah. Vercel. What did they change the name from?
Was Vercel
Zeit.
Yeah, that's right.
Was Vercel the one that we used to joke about all the time?
Yeah, Vercel.
No.
Like Oracle?
Had a whole joke.
Yeah, they had to change the name when they took money, I think, or something.
I wonder why.
I don't know.
Someone else had the name.
Yeah, I think in Germany, Zeit was already like a big brand.
Probably,
or something.
yeah.
Yeah. Oh, giving us the security code.
Mm-hmm.
We're in. Wait till you're streaming this live.
Yep.
You get
I think we want to
get a young Russian to ruin your life.
Any concerns with the name here? I was thinking just Mac.
Good. I think relational OS makes sense.
Oh, sorry. I think I just killed my audio.
It jumped.
Am I back? Sweet.
Nice.
Ooh.
Oh,
Okay, hold on. Let's see what's going on with the pricing here.
Zero.
So, oh, they just give us a trial, but it sounds like there's probably a free tier that's going to be enough for us. Is my assumption. Cool.
Especially because I think for the most part, it's not going to need a back end ultimately, like where we're headed, which is nice because then hosting a static site is like essentially free everywhere.
Yeah.
They'll subsidize it for you.
Awesome.
Gotta burn that VC money somehow. Will help.
Vercel.
I got so annoyed with them because one of the sites that I was running on them, their pricing basically jumps from like $20 per seat on a team for unlimited, like quote unquote unlimited, into like enterprise where you have to like talk to their salespeople and get like a custom expensive plan configured. And the one project basically just went into that tier, and I'm like, I can't afford to go from $40 a month to $2,000 a month. Like that's insane.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
So like one project I just had to move entirely over to Amazon. So everything else I still like using Vercel for because it's still small, but yeah,
it's always the middle ground problem. You can get some, it's either individual small projects for free, or you need to be a Fortune 500.
Yep.
It's the barbell of cost.
Yeah.
Is this something Dave's gonna have to do here?
Yep. Dave, if you can help us out here. Probably, I'm assuming, sent you an email.
Okay.
Yeah, the email notification.
Hey, you can deploy all the internet camera stuff there.
Yeah, it's funny.
How did it like automatically get included?
I think it's because it's pulling off of my GitHub account.
Oh, it's like you have access to that.
But for some reason, this is the only one that came up. I'm wondering if you've already made some sort of link between Vercel and that project, Shahruz, or is that just?
I mean, I definitely have, but I don't know if that would affect what you would see.
I mean, if it does, then that is a weird security thing.
Yeah, I was about to say they have some weird SQL query on the back end.
Yeah.
Everything is slow.
All good.
Which is annoying because we paid $10 for 24 hours of our internet being up to 10 megabytes per second.
What?
There's just a lot.
Nice when you're staying in like a resort hotel thing. Yeah, I thought about you, CJ, and because Dave was like, he was like this close to losing his shit. He's like, it doesn't cost them anything, and I was like, I know. I was like, but we can't do anything about it.
Whoa, that's insane. I mean, I guess it's like a common utility that they have in the hotel. So they're just like, oh yeah, like we'll just charge you because we can. And without it, like people would be going hog wild and just like running Netflix everywhere, and they would need like a giant fat like 10 gigabit pipe really to serve everyone.
I talked to someone and she was just like asking what was going on. I was like, well, video calls just drop. Like you can't pipe the video in.
One second. Isn't CJ, did you set up the org?
Oh, did I set up? I might have set up the org.
Yeah,
that's possible. I do remember you.
I think I did it on the other call.
The like buzzard repo, but I think you set up the relational one.
Yeah, let me see. And my computer is being real slow right now.
That's just because
it's the theme of the
you
day.
have to do something.
Yeah, the woman at the company was just like, well, I'm not surprised because basically you've got really shitty internet connection without upgrading. And I was like,
yeah, it's like 10
and she can't do anything about it. Like, I don't know. It's just like, it's just all messed up. How long until this is not a thing?
I
And
mean,
you could be anywhere and have Wi-Fi.
I mean,
Is like Starlink the best thing towards that right now?
5 to 10 years is my guess.
Okay.
Like,
I hope it's faster than that. I mean,
I hope
maybe
so.
maybe not within like the whole world, but I guess
Yeah.
within the US it'll get much better. I think people, at least with Starlink, are trying to test, like, at least for like RV kind of or van life living,
Yeah.
just having the Starlink like satellite on their roof so they can get service everywhere.
as soon as we can, the Subaru is going to have a just
nice.
dish on top of it,
Same size
Wow.
car.
just on the hood. It'll be an ornament.
Beautiful. And then you can also run a cell tower out of it, so then you can broadcast it to your phone anywhere.
Perfect. Yeah. And
Love the future.
we'll just have like a switch on top so people can jack in directly.
Yeah, perfect. Get their Ethernet fix.
I mean, you see all these vans out on the road, and like all of them, they have all this gear hanging off of it. Like it's basically, you know, like a rack setup. So we'll just literally put a rack on it. Full of
Mobile data center in the Subaru.
like that guy trying to do the energy stuff in Texas. We'll just have the mobile version.
We did get a rooftop carrier. Did we tell you that?
Oh yeah, how is it?
Now we can fit
It holds things.
all of John's stuff, all of our stuff. Probably, I don't, not a surfboard, so maybe not all of CJ's stuff.
You can get a surfboard now.
All of Sharuz's stuff, and we can.
I was about to say it's only on one half, right?
Yeah.
Is it taking the full thing? Because
Yeah.
no, you can fit like a couple surfboards on the side.
We'll be riding real low. Fit Buzzard, all of Buzzard into a car and all of our belongings to live on the road.
Nice. May require at some point a Subaru Caravan, but that'll be a concern for another day. Couple of questions here. So first off, to get something deployed, we probably need to commit it. To commit something, we need to agree on commit messages. Any preferences here? I usually do like present tense, so like revert something, because past tense generally feels like it gets muddy with change logs. But yeah, if y'all have any other ideas, feel free.
I think what you said works.
Yeah,
Cool.
that's
Committing.
fine with me.
And the second thing is, what is the, I guess, with regards to Next and Vercel, do we commit package lock? Is that something managed separately? I'm assuming we're not touching Yarn, so maybe add that into some sort of git ignore file.
Sure, both are safe to check in. Vercel, I think, prefers Yarn if it's there, but either should be okay, or both.
Cool. I feel like probably one would be preferable.
Would be better, yeah.
Worried about two files.
I'm good with being fully NPM here.
Either way, it's fine.
Yep. And to be happy with NPM, is that going to be package lock or Yarn?
Yeah.
Yarn.
So we can just toss the Yarn. Yeah.
Sweet. All right. Off it goes. Right.
Do you have your SSH keys?
It's possible master is write protected.
Oh, let me see.
Yeah, sure.
It's weird because I was able to push to it.
You might have the permissions then, Shahruz, if you created the repo.
Oh, let me check.
I love how
I thought it's an org level, but
it's like 7 overlapping like sets of like.
We've all got one key to the thing. We got to get
Yeah. It's good OPSEC.
Exactly.
Manage
Killer
access.
sub.
It's like a multi-sig, but like without signature.
All 5 members can access this. Let me give everyone right.
Mutual.
Oh yeah, I don't see any.
Try it.
on my
Try it
end.
now, John. Actually, I can give everyone admin as well.
Oh, that pushed.
Awesome.
All right. Now on to the Vercel config. Shahruz, CJ, see any things worth muddling about here? I think it looks fine from here.
Oh, it's cool that they do environment variables.
Mm-hmm. Now if we go.
They've got a frosted glass top bar. That's how you know it's
Where?
when he scrolls. Doesn't matter.
Oh, this is quick. I'm used to Netlify taking a long time.
All their UI stuff is really nice.
Does it fetch packages every time, or is it only like if the package.json changed?
Only if it's changed. So it'll cache subsequent
Oh,
builds.
sweet.
Gets faster.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean, if I was them, that would be like the first optimization I'd throw in, so you don't waste server time.
Yep.
Is that a Vercel thing or a?
Yeah. So
JS
that's a Lambda function. We've got like a loose API endpoint in there. That was just an example one that we can remove or update later.
Got it.
And boom, you got a URL.
Wow. Dope. Wow. Look at that.
This may be the fastest, like, oh yeah, I think I commented out the console, which would have been, I'm not like now in the habit of like killing console logs from prod stuff because I get yelled at for leaving those in and then slowing everything down, but now we don't know. It probably works. I think it's safe to say that the onSubmit function probably fires.
Yeah, clear
Cool.
the text at least, right?
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Well, this is exciting.
And now I think anything that pushes to the main branch on GitHub will automatically get pushed to this URL.
Nice.
And if you open up a pull request or a new branch, it'll get its own like special subdomain that's elsewhere.
Nice.
Oh,
Awesome.
no way. So it's like anyone can go access and see even like the testing branches of things.
Yep.
Oh, wow.
Nice.
That's
great.
nice. And all the API stuff is handled here through the backend too, like with Next.js, like since it's all in the like mono repo.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. I had /API/example in there as just like a placeholder file. So
Okay.
John, if you want to look at what that endpoint looks like, it should return something. Yeah,
Nice.
so that's dynamic JavaScript there that you can, connect to a database, run some anything. Yeah.
Sweet.
Beautiful.
Okay, and it just has the next API handler as the type, and just some function that's asynchronous request and response.
Yeah, so in Node, like if we're using any HTTP server, whether it's Express or Polka, or in this case, Next.js, you get a standard request and response variable for any HTTP thing. The request being all the data, like the headers, the body of the request. So if you want to parse that and do stuff with it, and the response being the object that you can write to send a response back to the client. So if you want to set your headers, it would be like res.setHeader. If you want to send JSON back, it's res.json.
Yep. Okay. Okay, just like filling that payload. Similar. Okay.
Cool. Possibly now might be a time to muddle around with some domain stuff if we want, because currently we have honeycombs.vercel.app, which is nice, but we could maybe do a subdomain redirect from buzzard.life, potentially.
Sure.
And Dave's Kristen, where, I guess, is that domain being registered from or managed from currently?
Namecheap. Let me pull up everything.
Cool. I just sort of like as we're doing this, I'm kind of imagining if these commits were like deep linked with this video, and any messages that were sent at that exact moment as like just native bidirectional links would make looking at documentation a lot easier. I think just like essentially right click or select any code and like ask like how was this written, basically, like who wrote it, when did they write it, like just replay that entire session of the call or the 7 previous calls that were like touching that code. I mean, yeah, there's something about this collaborative writing here that is very, very exciting to me.
Well, if you
Something
layer
interesting.
time stamping too, you could just like go right to when this code
Exactly.
and like what was the who was there, what was going on.
Yeah,
like
a little radar sense.
Like someone's like, oh fuck, I was recording and I didn't know, like you don't remember, and you're like in the dark somewhere and you're watching TV and like drinking a beer or something. You're
Yes.
like, fuck.
I mean, this would be useful just in
up.
single player mode. Yeah. Yeah.
We need like a film or TV production workflow where there's like a clapper thing in the beginning that syncs up all the different assets that we have, so we can line them up in time.
Yes.
All right.
Very neat.
Okay.
So you're probably going to need some DNS stuff from me.
Yeah, we got to figure out how they're doing everything in here.
Do you want to do it on here so you can pull up the screen and then
I think that could.
The easiest way to do it, I think, would be adding a CNAME into Namecheap.
Okay.
So if you add a domain here, it'll tell you what CNAME to configure within Namecheap.
All right.
Something like that.
Okay.
Nice. And there it is.
Income, CNAME. CNAME record. All right. What's the host?
name is just income?
Host would be Honeycombs, I think.
Honeycombs.
Yep.
Yeah.
And then target would be the value.
Yep.
cname.vercel -DNS.
.com.
It is added.
Nice.
Sweet.
Probably takes like a few minutes.
Usually less than a minute.
I like when this stuff is like propagating out and I imagine all the places it's going.
Mm-hmm.
Wow.
Yeah, it's already
Holy
there.
shit.
That was fast.
That's incredible.
So I think if you hit refresh back in that,
What was that?
it's already working.
Wow.
Huh.
Beautiful.
Crazy fast.
Yeah. That is,
The internet is crazy.
it kind of is. It like legitimately is. It's who's offline.
Listen, actually, when you said that, I was like, wow, yeah, that just touched so many computers.
Bing, 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 bing.
Like legitimately.
When
That
things are compiling, you're just like, all this shit is happening from one push of a, like, it's crazy.
I know.
And that one button goes, yeah, it's wild.
This is like the thing with, what's his name? Linus? Is that his name? Who,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, that I just built this thing in a weekend. No, you didn't.
Yeah.
It took your entire life to get to this point. So like all of the tech is sort of like that, sort of like when this thing happens, it's because there's been years and years of work to get to this point.
Yeah.
Boom.
And in some sense, both are true. It's like
Yeah.
now building the things we build in a day now are laying the stones for the things that will be built in the future in like seconds. So,
Yeah.
but yeah,
It's completely
absolutely,
automated.
like shoulders of giant stuff going on here, big time.
Yeah.
Yeah, it
And
took
to
$1 billion
think of-
in 2002 to do this. To put a text box and a button on the internet.
Yep. It's looking good.
Cool.
Wow.
Well, this is further than I thought we would get. Not that I was being pessimistic. I've just done this flow a few times before. And usually there's just like a step where you're just like, oh no, everything's awful, and just like help. So yeah.
I'm curious about where you would send. I mean, we don't have to do anything else, obviously, but like how you would think about like, all right, well, we need to send the text to somewhere. Where does the text, I mean, just what does it do? How does it work? I have no idea from this place.
Yeah.
Yeah, what's the move from just a there's a couple questions. What's the move from a text box to like a text post submit? And what's the move from a text box to a multimedia box submit? Yeah. And is that the right question? That's my third question.
So it sounds like, Kristen, you're asking about input, and Dave, you're asking about output.
Yeah. Or
I think input is input is relatively, I mean, Shahruz, correct me if I'm wrong here, but like we would make this some sort of text input with like multi-lines, and then for media input, there'd be like a little file picker handler thing that's handled by the OS, and just like send, caches those files locally, maybe converts them to like base64 or something. The output question is a little trickier, but just spitballing here, probably like a very, very lightweight bridge somewhere that we build that, or I mean, within this project. So hosted on Vercel, that takes stuff and pushes it to IPFS and returns like a hash or something like that. But we also talked about doing this totally client side, which means one other possibility here is like on submit talks to IPFS and bypasses any sort of intermediaries and bridges entirely, which is really exciting.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, that's kind of my read.
So are we, because I think we talked about both options of posting to GitHub for storage in the interim, or IPFS?
That's right. Yes. Yeah, it's coming back now.
So, yeah, my question on this is, like, I guess if we submit things to IPFS, can the graph work to actually index those things as blocks?
We would also need to set up a contract to actually run on the blockchain to work with the graph there. That being said, like the Solidity stuff, I think, is pretty accessible. It's not as scary as the world makes it seem. So I do think we could get into that pretty quick if there's interest and excitement around that.
I mean, I would personally, I would think it would be great to just completely skip the GitHub stuff, because it felt very like, just like as a stop anyhow, that was eventually going to get removed. So we can completely like distribute that immediately. That would be pretty sweet. The only thing I think is with IPFS is it needs to be pinned somewhere, right? So I'm guessing like the media asset stuff is still on IPFS, and then the blockchain is being used as like a pointer effectively, or something like that.
Yes. So on the IPFS side, a server somewhere does need to pin it. There's a few different options. You could self-host. So I've got like that that repo from Gimmicks that I posted. That's just like a single Node.js file that is a full IPFS server that can pin stuff for you, and it just has 2 API endpoints for upload and upload JSON. So running that somewhere would be one option. Another option would be using a service like pinata.cloud, or one of these various kind of there's a bunch of like hosted IPFS things that are, here's like a gig that's free that, would be very hard to hit with just text files to start. And they give you a pretty standard API that you can just hit. So there's a few options there.
Can you say one, like, I'm just curious. So you said like from Gimmicks, like this is what you wrote, and you're saying like it's just some Node.js application. It's an API that you just run on like some server that you own that has a bunch of storage effectively.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just running an IPFS client. I'm guessing it like even sets up IPFS client in the back end. And
yeah, so that's all happening in that Node.js file. So IPFS ships like an IPFS JS module that includes the server. So you can basically just do like, new IPFS within JavaScript, and it'll rig it for you.
Oh wow!
Right
So
there.
then you just
Yeah.
run it on a like AWS or wherever has a bunch of storage.
Yeah.
Is it
That's
possible to like cluster these things? Like this
Mhm.
is like maybe more. Okay, it is.
I think if you search for IPFS cluster, they have like a CLI that's like specifically for that. Yeah.
What is going on in this world?
So this is amazing because you can just be like, my redundancy policy is that I want each file to be stored on 5 servers, and you can set up like 10 of them, and it'll automatically kind of spread them out. If one goes down, it'll go and replicate anything that was lost from that one server onto another server to meet that minimum of 5.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, well, that's awesome.
Yeah.
How much space do I have on my server? I have 160 gigs on my server.
Nice.
What's cool is that installing IPFS, it's not like it just starts sucking up your storage. The only thing that it is pinned there is the stuff that you decide to pin to it.
And how is that determined? Is that simply by like target?
Yeah, so within the JS interface, which is what I've mostly used, it's just like IPFS.add. So the right here you get like this IPFS. Yeah, the third line. If you go up or up just a little bit, right there. Yeah, the const CID await IPFS.add. So what this is doing is just storing that hello world text onto IPFS, and the CID that comes back is the IPFS hash.
Yes. I guess my only question here is like IPFS.create. This is creating a node locally. This is adding to it locally. But this is, in other words, we're still pushing the files to here somehow. So this is kind
Correct.
of like the local interface. What does the remote interface look like?
What you want to do is manually set up like a server within Node that you have a couple API endpoints that you design.
Okay, so just lightweight, like takes in via post and then ships it
exactly,
right to
and then
local
runs
IPFS.
exactly these functions, but just within the context of a server that you can post to.
Makes sense. Well, I mean, I've got at least another hour of coding in me, so if y'all want, I'm down to go a couple extra steps.
So,
what was that?
I said I got another hour of sitting here watching you code.
Great.
Yeah, I can hang out.
Yeah.
Sweet.
So Shahruz, you're saying I can just run npm start on this and it'll work if I clone this on my server?
On what? On which thing?
On you have like an Ubuntu box somewhere?
Like if I clone this factory IPFS, I can just like run this.
Oh yeah, that'll just work. It should theoretically.
What are you plotting, CJ?
Nothing. I'm just like really curious. I want to run this thing now. And I guess that would give us 160 gigs of storage effectively.
Right. So
I mean, the server I won't say is the most stable, but it's pretty good.
I said to Dave the other day, I was like, I like how CJ's location on his Twitter profile is a link to what his like financial transactions, which is a URL, which is burrito.place.
That's right.
It's so CJ.
Oh, is burrito.place down? Actually, I don't. It might be down. No, it's up.
It's up. Very nice.
This is where CJ is.
Is it working? Oh, I might need to.
It looked like some variables there were not populating, possibly.
Yeah, probably because I forgot to run the backend on my server.
Backend.
The backend just serves static JSON files.
Architecture-wise here, everything really is going to be contained within like one API route here, right? And then that API route is going to live hosted on Vercel and take in that little JSON blob from our onSubmit function and going to essentially run this here.
So yes and no. So because Vercel is doing serverless functions, you don't want to run an IPFS node there. So an IPFS server should only ever be run on more of like a classic, EC2 style server, like an Ubuntu box or something somewhere. or again, like a third-party service like pinata.cloud. But
yeah, I guess the part that I'm trying to bridge is how we contain that bridge within one project and then have a remote IPFS node. Because I'm imagining here like we're doing it maybe with CJ's IPFS node for now.
Oh yeah, exactly. Then yeah, what you were saying was all correct then. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm assuming then here we can also specify a remote IPFS node.
No, so I think what you would want to do is from the Vercel hosted API endpoint, do a traditional like fetch API request to CJ server.
So I would give you
like a standard.
I would give you essentially the IP address of this, and it would be like, I don't know what exposed endpoints that Shahruz has in this, but it would be like something like create. I imagine.
I have like /upload and /upload JSON as the two defaults.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
JSON just being a convenience kind of method that knows how to parse it automatically for you.
Whereas upload is just pure like file data.
Whatever you toss at it, yeah.
Got it.
Okay. Would that still make sense to wrap into this project to make it sort of like a monorepo thing, or like the code that lives on CJ's server and potentially other servers in the future? Is that best to make separate package that could then maybe be installed via like package managers? Is there any like?
Yeah, I mean, it would be nice to be able to run that in a local environment too, right? So if you're developing, you should be able to spin up both the website instance and an instance of the IPFS server, and they should automatically just talk to each other.
That would be ideal.
Yeah. So I don't know if a monorepo is the right approach, or an additional repo. Like we can fork the gimmicks IPFS server and just start customizing that inside this context potentially.
Yeah, I heard you mention gimmicks. Did you send that somewhere, or is that public accessible?
Yeah, I think I put it in Discord. But if you go to GitHub/gimmicks, might be a dash with an X instead of CKS, and then -org, I think.
Yep.
And then it should be factory IPFS.
Got it. Oops.
Yeah. So a fork of this, I should document it more, but a fork of this, and then mostly tweaking the caddy file should be ready to go. It's pretty simple.
Interesting. Something about like forking into a organization is just like so like satisfying. Like an open organization. It's just like, oh, I do like it a lot.
We should probably rename all this stuff too within this context.
Like factory IPFS is a pretty nice name.
Works. It's a factory for all your IPFS needs.
So Polka is the server module. So it lets you just define like, here's the endpoints, here's the handlers for them.
So more or less of like a lightweight web server.
Exactly.
For JS. Okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Any reason for using this over? I guess my. I'm not even sure what else I would use.
Express is usually like the default that most people go to. What I don't like about Express is that they don't let you write async handlers for each route. Like you have to kind of jump through a few hoops. What's nice about this is like if you look at line 33 or line 37, I can just define an async function and then write a wait below that. So the code just looks a lot cleaner. Otherwise, you'd have a whole bunch of like, what is it called? Like a bunch of nested blocks that just starts getting ugly.
Yeah, I mean, this looks very clean. This looks great. I mean, like the whole thing fits 40 lines. It's amazing.
And the ugly part there is all cores, like headers, so that
yeah, like 10 lines are for cores. More. Sounds about right. Okay. This is cool. So I'm assuming you've got some very nice. Makes sense.
Might need to do an install first.
That's right.
And then real quick, if you go into the caddy file, so that's for deploying to a server and configuring it. But what's nice about caddy is that this will automatically set up SSL for you at whatever domain you configure. So when you're deploying it to a server, you just automatically get SSL out of the box and a couple commands that way.
That's nice. What's running on the target server? I'm assuming
caddy.
Just caddy and SSH access.
Yeah, exactly.
Wow. That's cool.
Really, yeah. As opposed to like setting up Nginx, caddy is like extremely simple.
Yeah. Wow. This is amazing.
I think if you search for like caddy server, you'll get to their docs. Yeah.
Yep. This is cool. So if I'm understanding a reasonable flow here correctly, one option here is CJ creating like an account on his box, limited to some directory maybe, and then we just specify the target and SSH creds here, and then run, what's that? Something like caddy deploy or something, and then it basically chooses where to update our latest deployment and pushes it straight over there.
Not exactly. So caddy doesn't manage the deployment side of things. It's more like Nginx or Apache.
That's the pure web server.
Simplified. Yeah. So I think the flow there would still be something involving Git and doing a pull manually on the server, unless there's tooling around that makes that easier.
Okay, so caddy is only responsible from like the sort of getting incoming connections and establishing a secure tunnel to them, but not anything upstream from that. Okay.
Yeah. So deployments is a separate concern. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And it's all caddy would only be a production like thing.
Right. In other words, dev deploy stuff could just be done locally or on some other.
Yeah. So like, for example, here, if you do npm run dev.
You want to be seen eating worms on TV.
Did the npm install not go through?
Actually, I think I did catch an error there. Yeah. Request has been deprecated. No, that's a warn.
Node
WRTC command failed. Oh, here we are.
I think it's this, yeah. That's always the M1.
It's my go-to flag for resolving life problems.
Yeah.
Is this just all the time right now?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Honestly, it's so much faster though that it's kind of worth it.
It's like the time that you figure out to debug is like still like the time it saves outweighs everything else.
Yes. Good Lord. Yeah, maybe going into the weeds here. Hold on to your hats, Beverly.
If you have Yarn locally, I feel like Yarn might just let you install it. I don't know. If you do npm install Yarn and then -G.
Oh. I mean,
you might want to cancel out of that.
Get it everywhere.
Yeah. And now I think you can do Yarn.
Fast. Just Yarn, right?
Yeah.
Before driving into the field, see if there's a gate.
It is weird if Yarn lets it install.
Yeah.
And then
I'll bet it's using some like alt, like unpacking flow that's accessing some cache. Yeah, who knows really? It's a dark world here.
Getting to see the seedy underbelly. It's nice.
That's installed. So, boom.
Modern development. Okay, let's just close out that before it causes any undue stress.
I remember I
Nice.
used Node for the first time, like probably in October or November of last year. And I couldn't understand what was going on for the longest time. I was like, what am I even doing here? And then I like kind of like eventually was like, okay, package.json does things and I'm going to leave it alone. Or, like, okay, you run these commands and it bundles everything and then minimizes all the JavaScript and deploys, and you're like, oh, okay, like, sure, like, it's fine.
Yeah, in my mind, what it's essentially doing is like taking potential like very terrifyingly massive states in the world and like somewhat compressing them for some period of time so that you could basically say like I would like these set of things to happen. But really how long that's going to be the case is anybody's guess. You're essentially just asking like the system to be like, can you please stay in a state for at least a little bit until who knows what happens. Okay, so
you're running a local node now on port 4001, I think, is what the default port was for that.
Lovely. Is there a web interface of any sort, or?
Yes and no. Like you'll see like a not found error, but it won't. It won't be. It'll be HTML that's being served from the server. If you go to localhost port 4001, I think.
It's 40,001. Yep.
Yeah.
Nice. Something's listening.
So if you post to /upload or post to /upload JSON, it should run the stuff that's over there.
Let's see. Was it capital J like that?
All caps on JSON. Yeah.
Cool.
We can change all those things. Obviously, that's just what I went with earlier.
Totally. Not sure what to put here. Let's do key.
Boom.
So it worked a little too well for me to like believe that it worked.
Yeah, can we copy that hash?
So if you copy that hash and then go to IPFS.io /IPFS and then /that hash, boom.
Things are not supposed to be so easy.
Look, it's just right there.
It's that easy. Nice gateway to IPFS. Beautiful.
If you paste that into Discord, I think all of us should be able to access the same content at the same URL as well.
Correct. Yeah, absolutely.
And then when you shut down your server, we're not going to be able to access it necessarily anymore unless some other server somewhere has decided to replicate it.
Okay, so one question about that. Local state, is that fine on restarts? Is there anything weird that happens with like the local database?
Oh, no. So if you look at your directory here, there should be a .IPFS folder that gets put in there, I believe. Yeah. So this is where all your local state is stored, and it'll persist between sessions.
Cool. Yeah. So totally on disk. The engine is literally just like a little web server.
Exactly.
Yeah. Nice. Wow. Okay.
Right.
Well.
Wait, did you kill that? I'm kind of curious if I like remove my cache. Does it go
still
away?
Running. Should I kill it? Destroy?
Sure.
Now it's dead.
I'm still seeing it actually.
Yeah. I wonder if oh, now it's gone. Oh no, it's still there.
Oh no.
I wonder if the gateway is caching it as well.
It's possible, yeah. Especially for like lightweight JSON content, they might have some stuff there.
Yeah.
Interesting. Okay. Wow.
But if you were to try to directly access it like on the IPFS network, it probably is not accessible. More than likely.
Yeah. So like another gateway that you can use is Cloudflare-IPFS.
Is by Cloudflare?
Yeah.
That's nice of
Let
them.
me paste a link in here. All right, I haven't tested this link yet, but yeah, no, it works. It works.
Oh, interesting.
Wait. So the server was off though by the time that we first accessed Cloudflare IPFS. Is it like seeding from somewhere else, or do you know how
I think
that
it's,
got?
yeah, I think there's basically, especially for super lightweight content, I think there's redundancies that get automatically set up the first time you pull from a gateway. But
Wow.
it's like not guaranteed. Like you definitely shouldn't run a business
Yes.
with that. Yeah.
Right. It's more like just sticky requests that
Yeah.
will stick around for a while. That's cool. That's very cool. Okay. So what am I thinking? I mean, CJ, maybe at this point you want to clone this repo and just run npm, or sorry, well, install and then caddy serve, or the equivalent of that.
I can do so. Let me check I did it. Did you change anything at all? And did you
Nope.
commit to the repo?
Nope.
If not, then I have the old repo that I can quickly, let's see.
Because
Added
the
all
only
these
thing you're going to
packages.
want to change is the caddy file, because that'll
Okay.
include the name of the subdomain.
And it can be instead like something like
Exactly.
That.
it would be like
Okay.
IPFS.buzzard.life.
So one
Great.
question here.
I don't know what ports I'm using now.
IPFS buzzard.life right now is going to point to CJ's server using something like probably an A record for just IPv4 address. At some point, if we add more nodes to this, is there any way to like give us dynamic control over the target of that?
I think at that point, we're no longer going to be using caddy file. We'll probably be using that cluster service, which is just a separate thing. Haven't fully gone through that process yet. This was just kind of like the quick start, like dead simple. Yeah.
Totally. So this gets us one node, and then once we want cluster, I'm imagining that for quite a while it won't matter what actual node from that cluster a request hits, because it's just going to route it to whatever wants to take it. And okay, cool.
Yeah.
It'll
be something we can scale to, because like what's most important about this project, like or this code here, is that it's setting up an interface to upload to IPFS, and within that server interface, like if you wanted to put in API keys or any other kind of authentication stuff to prevent anybody from just being able to like dump, and store stuff there, it gives us a nice interface for that. And then because putting something into the IPFS server into a single node, all you then have to do to another cluster that may be elsewhere is just pass it the hash to pin. You don't need to re-upload that file. So I think this doesn't necessarily need to go away at any point. It still can be like the interface in.
Yeah, it's just kind of our like always on little agent for talking to IPFS. And then presumably here on .post, we can be like, what's your header? Are you actually coming from a buzzard like native web client? If so, proceed. Or something even crazier with like Ethereum key auth, just completely pass through. Like, are you part of this set of keys that has access to this node? And then off you go.
Yeah.
Got it. That's nice. This is nice.
And like the more complex this gets, it should probably start turning into some more files and being broken out so the logic can be contained. But
right. Cool. Maybe CJ, while you're getting that up and running, Dave can set that record up on buzzard.life.
And actually, so when I run npm.start, it looks like the script is just failing immediately.
Is it the yarn thing? Do you want to try installing yarn and do a yarn
do
install?
yarn instead. Yeah, let me just try. It didn't look like it had the same thing, since this is running on some Ubuntu node somewhere. But I'll quickly try yarn as well.
Cool. Another thing that could be going on is you might have another process on port 3000.
I changed it to 10,000 because I do have one on 3000.
And another thing you can do to debug is run yarn dev instead of yarn start, because that'll just log whatever's going wrong immediately.
Great.
Yeah, this is way nicer than Nginx.
And it's going to run it
like
on
the classic
local host port.
Classic circus dance.
Yeah. Automatic SSL was like such a game changer, because up until 2 or 3 years ago, such a pain in the ass.
Yeah, I mean, even whatchamacallit, the EFF
Certbot.
like even Certbot, like if you have some custom something like in your Nginx, you know, you're going to be sitting there like debugging that thing for a while. Like I love running it on clean installs. I hate renewing it after like a server upgrade, because I'm just like, there's no way this is going to go well.
When you are running it yarn start, does it run the process in the background?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That's
so it runs an instance of Forever, which is a like production node kind of thing. So what's nice about Forever is if something fails, it'll reboot the server automatically so that the server doesn't stay offline.
Mm-hmm. Got it. Oh, so now that I probably ran 2 instances of it.
You can do yarn stop and it should kill them.
And same thing with npm. Let me try npm stop.
npm run
I'll kill the npm one. Okay, well, I couldn't find it. What if I do yarn stop? It couldn't find either one.
If you do yarn forever list, see if that pops anything out for you.
No process is running. Okay. And same thing probably for npm.
Yeah, those two are both going to do the same thing. They're not running separate instances of anything. There's a couple of VS Code extensions that I will link to after the call as well that'll make the Next.js process a little bit nicer. You can see, like, even on like line 26, like the CSS is not aligned. There's ways to do that. Yep. So when you hit Command S, it'll automatically clean everything up for you.
Yeah, that'd be great, because I think I'm just doing some basic JavaScript linter. Probably all bad.
Okay, so now that I have it up, it does say the uptime is stopped, but it does see the process running.
Do yarn forever logs 0.
Okay.
See anything odd in there?
Error event in Node.
Did it say what?
I wonder if I'm running some like old version of Node.
Oh, that could be it.
I'm guessing it's like some really like heinously old version of Node that comes with Ubuntu by default. Let's get this set up. Let's do this one more time with the updated version.
So what are we doing right now?
CJ is getting the IPFS bridge up and running, and I am sort of just scaffolding some logic for pushing our text to that bridge.
Okay.
I'm waiting.
Do we need the A record for this as well?
Yes.
Oh, he did it?
No, I don't know how to do that. But I mean, I do know how to make an A record, but I don't know what to put in it.
Let me send you
An A record.
Artwork record.
Yes.
Dark record.
Uh-huh.
Okay.
It'll point whatever domain that we set, in this case IPFS.buzzard.life, to the IP address that CJ server lives at.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'll send you the IP address in this in 1 second.
Cool.
7.
And we're using CJ's server because it was already connected to something.
Basically, because it was connected to the power plug and the internet, like any server could work here.
It's just
And
running.
I already pay for it, and it has 170 gigs of SSD storage available.
Just saying it has storage because that's why you were telling us how much. Yep.
So for the host, do I just put IPFS? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, that's up.
Was that just for your own edification?
What?
The, like IPFS? Or is it smart?
Even
There.
updating Node, it did not like that.
So, no, that
Oh, it still thinks it's port 3000 for some reason.
not life.
Is this only in the caddy file, or is this also an index?
Pulling up on.
It's an
Oh
index.
yeah, the port. Yeah, you're gonna want to override that in both places.
Okay, yeah, let me fix that.
It looks like our DNS is live. That's good.
Cool. Let me get this done.
Well, it's going through Nginx, it looks like, which is kind of odd. But that might have something to do with the caddy config.
Or you might already have an Nginx.
I have Nginx.
Yeah.
Got it.
Like in port 3000. Did I not save this in Vim?
You would need to do like a caddy stop and a caddy start again after changing any values in the caddy file.
Is that a command on?
Just in the command line, yeah. Wait, did you set up caddy already or no?
I didn't.
That's why.
Is it? Okay, that's why.
Yeah. So there would be like an Ubuntu install caddy.
Okay.
Thing.
Let me look it up real quick.
Yeah.
Some apt thing.
Here.
DigitalOcean. Great.
Either of you have a preference for the like helper for REST API stuff? I think request is one.
Fetch is the one that's
JavaScript
built
one.
in,
Yeah.
which is nice because it's isomorphic with the browser side stuff.
Yes. Okay. Sweet.
In my server too. And do I need to do caddy start once it's installed, or it'll automatically start a service?
Can't hurt to run caddy start again, and it'll just bark at you if it's already running. I don't remember if it tries it itself.
Permission denied for port 443.
Yeah, okay. I don't know how it will work with Nginx already installed. How comfortable are you with your Nginx config? Because you can do the same setup there. You just got to reverse proxy.
I'm generally pretty comfortable with the Nginx config.
Cool. So I think all you got to do is reverse proxy.
Okay, yeah, that's fine. I can get a reverse proxy set up.
Cool.
There's a quick question here. For our, and again, I'm just like scaffolding here, so I'm fine like with tossing all of this. But how is async versus not sort of being handled? Or
yeah. So all you got to do is on submit right before the parentheses, just type in async, and what that'll do is it'll allow you to use await terminology within that function.
That answers that. Sweet. And would this be our like cleanest notation for that?
Yep.
Nothing different. Cool.
Yep. Depending on where you're going with it, I guess. So, like what you're going to get in response from that fetch at this point is like an object, but it's not going to be the response itself. If you're expecting the response to be some kind of JSON value, which is what the IPFS server does currently, then you want to do within this then block res arrow function res.json parentheses, I think.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And then you want to return that res.json from the.
Got it. And now bridge response is actually going to be set to that, assuming
Exactly.
a happy path. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And you could also run this against your local port 4001 instance.
That's what I was going to say.
Oh, that's what you are doing. Okay.
Yep.
And we can set up environment files for that soon as well.
Yep, definitely. Yeah. Anybody got ideas on what it should do after hitting the send button, receiving a response back from IPFS? So in other words, we have the local content that we sent, but we also have the address at which the content will be accessible for the foreseeable future. Not forever, but for a long time.
We could print it on the page as a link, maybe, that you can open up.
Yeah.
Yep. Somewhere down here, we can add a. This is trying to annoy me.
So for you to tell React that the state has changed, you're going to want to set up another use state that will hold your IPFS hash or the response.
Yeah, that. Okay, I was like, we're definitely going to want to use use state somewhere. So maybe something like another const up here that's like IPFS response. Kind of ugly, but set response.
Yeah.
I'd usually, the convention usually has you just writing set in front of whatever the previous variable was, just like React convention. So you want to keep things consistent.
Yep. And if our IPFS is lowercase there, would we capitalize it?
Could go either way. Could go either way. At the very least, the first letter should be capitalized, I think. So set is readable.
Yeah, that. Okay. Yeah, I hate capitalization of variables. Does this make sense to set to null? Is there another convention here, or empty string feels?
For now, I think null is good.
Cool. So we're also going to set IPFS. response to .json.
So I would do that outside. Just because I think like you want the thing inside the then to just be like clean, pure, you know, not messing with the state.
So in other words, if our response looks like we want, then do it. Otherwise, like send some sort of alert to the front end.
Yep.
Okay. Oh, yeah. That's a good idea. And then, do you have a return? It's the hash. Basically, if we see the hash key in the response, we can assume that something went well.
And otherwise, it'll send like a 500 or a 404 or whatever the appropriate HTTP response would be.
So maybe better to just check on status code.
So what would happen right now by default with this code is if you got back a bad response, it would have an error message pop up within Next.js because the then just wouldn't get triggered. What you could do is wrap this in a try catch and handle the error around the fetch statement that way.
So all of this.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep.
Specifying something here or keeping it global?
Yeah, I think it's just like error, whatever you want to name the error response, and then brackets, and then you can log it for now.
Okay.
And then you can also take out the if bridge response there, or you can check like if the hash is there, but bridge response in that at that line, it'll always have some truthy value.
Something like that.
You can just do bridge response.hash.
Ooh,
it's already a native object.
Beautiful.
IPFS should be set up on the server now.
Awesome.
Nice.
I tested it with like SimLA and other like just example file.
Definitely got some messiness somewhere. What are we happy about?
Oh, I think it down below. You didn't close your A tag yet. Yeah.
Yep. There we go.
And then instead of this syntax, what you could do is just href and then equals brackets. And then what is the?
So that's just
the
our
apostrophe
hash.
that's a little slanted. Yeah. So you want to put a string template in there. So the apostrophe that's like slanted. Yep. On the inside of the bracket.
Because this native JS within here.
Tilde and then a backtick.
And then before the $, you would do like HTTPS IPFS.io.
IPFS. Hash. So maybe IPFS response really should be like response hash, or even just block hash.
Great.
It's less offensive.
Okay.
Probably want to put some text inside the A tag so you can see it. Sorry.
Yeah. Something like view block. I guess this could also, or published block. So link. Ooh, that's Dave, I could, this is about the extent of my design abilities here. So if you want to send some CSS this way, like by all means.
Yeah, can do this.
Aligned correctly here. I know the Tailwind's way to do this, but not the native CSS way.
What are you trying to do? I can give you.
Yeah.
Get this down there because we have the button that's going to appear here after we put text.
Instead of a span.
This whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, make it a div.
So that'll block it out, so it drops down. And then if you want to give it a class, and we can fancy it up some, but
let's do it. This is our target. Block target. Block.
just put a margin top of like, I don't know, 1 rem. There we go.
Much better. Much better.
Great.
And then you're not always going to have that ready to go. So you want to put.
Yeah, I was wondering if should we like put like a little placeholder text there or just have it invisible? I feel like maybe a text kind of makes sense. Like a little instruction string.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's going to be looking for our existing thing like block hash.
So this is just showing up on submit, right?
Yeah. Well, in other words, yeah, we're gonna have a blank state and post submit state. Is there a better convention than not equals type of null here?
That's definitely the most like precise way of doing it. You could also just do exclamation point prior to block hash.
Oh,
as shorthand. So that'll just check if it's truthy or falsy. Meaning if it's got any value to it, it'll say true.
Got it. And this can be used with our ternary?
It can be used with ternary, or it can be used with double ampersand if you just want one option.
Yeah, so I'm
ternary,
imagining...
it'd be question mark, and then one block, and then a colon, and then the alt block.
Mm-hmm. I guess both of these things are within div, really. So.
Yeah.
Gosh, why is this one? There we go.
I'm curious what you're thinking with the empty state here.
Not published yet.
Yep.
I see.
That's funny. Well, I mean, I guess send doesn't exist until something is typed. So
the designer version of this is just you see nothing until you do something.
Honestly, that's fine too. Like I think this is simple enough. Yeah.
There's nothing else to do on the page, so.
No,
it's a good piece of example code.
Yeah. Actually, I mean, any of these little patterns.
Oh no! Did it not like it?
No, this was probably on my end something. I probably forgot to specify protocol. Just finishing this little thing here, and I want to give our input. Oh no.
It happens to me all the time. I change convention like an hour into something, and all of a sudden I'm just like a different person writing in a totally different style.
Yeah.
There you go.
Nice.
Yeah, that was really bugging me there. So I'm assuming what went wrong is I didn't specify. Yeah.
The target is still your local host, which isn't running anymore.
Oh, I killed that. Yes, I did.
I believe.
It also wouldn't be accessible at HTTPS necessarily, so you might want to put that into the variable above.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't check it first. Did I check it for HTTPS? Well, I hope so. I did. Good. Beautiful.
Okay, so we have a hash. That's good. And we just probably, this is a JSON call and not a function call, I'm assuming.
No, I think what's kind of odd here is that I think res.json, it only wants you to call it once maximum. So I would just remove that console.log.
Yep.
Yep.
Hey.
Nice.
Amazing.
Wow. Incredible.
That's cool. That's very cool.
On the IPFS.
It certainly is. Well, time to clean up and commit away. So, leaving authored commented out because we're definitely going to fill that in at some point. Not quite yet. I think we can.
Can we try a post on CJ server endpoint?
Yes. Oh yeah.
That's up
That
now.
would be great.
Let's do that.
Buzzard's first block.
Mm-hmm.
Do two.
Amazing.
So like this, the content addressable by this URL is actually living on CJ server, and everything just magically works. And sometimes computers actually do what we want them to. Amazing, truly.
There's something very interesting to me about how inaccessible all this stuff feels, and then once you're in it, it's just like, oh no, this is way quicker than setting up S3 and like setting up.
Yeah.
When we get to auth, like that'll be so fast too. Like,
Oh, I can't wait.
all the hard parts are just gone.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, when you like sent this repo, Shahruz, and I did this, I was like, oh man, like this totally needs to be tokenized, and I'm sure someone has done this with something.
Yeah, there's a thing called Filecoin, which is maybe
That's
what you're thinking of.
I think so.
Or along the lines of, but it's essentially like a bidding, like it's built-in currency to like bid on file storage on a decentralized network running IPFS.
Yeah. And are they running a cluster as well, or something where you can just like access their cluster and boom? It's there.
Exactly. Yeah. But
Yeah,
they
that
have
seems-
like a gate essentially that you have to pay in Filecoin to be able to store and submit stuff.
Right. Interesting.
Preference for console logs commented or not commented. I mean, there's probably a good logging library that we really should be using, but I personally, given that we're not worried about performance at all, I like the idea of being able to like pop open Inspector and see what actually went wrong under the hood without re-enabling console flags. So if y'all are cool with a pretty noisy log, then we could just leave them uncommented.
Fine with me.
Yeah, love the noisy log.
Yeah. It's like, what is actually happening? Please tell me. Also, I'm really like now starting to wonder if this is built properly. Like, I think as long as we keep in mind where our forward slashes are and aren't, then I think like the tilde formatting is okay.
Yep. And like, what's nice about my headset's going on. What's nice about Next.js is that it's something where you can just write a whole bunch of functionality into one file like this and have something working pretty quickly. But then to componentize it, you're basically just copying like that fetch function, popping it into a new file that you can access from multiple spots. But you can do that when the need comes up. Like the next time that we need to access that function from another page, we just rip it out and standardize it at that point.
In other words, you're not worried about the modularization until you actually need it.
Exactly. Yeah.
That's cool.
Sweet. And should our button be send or push or
Post.
write?
I don't know.
Post. Post sounds better.
Eventually, he's going to have an icon or something.
All right. So leaving my little localhost string in here, I guess, just to remind people that that is an option.
Is that
But I
something
do
that
agree
can
that-
be like brought into node modules as well? I never like found out a good like way of doing dev just because I never needed to.
So Next.js lets us do like a .ev.development where we could pop that, localhost version into that, and then there's like a .env.production, or you could just pop it into Vercel automatically or
I think
directly.
that might be worth, doing right now. Our example is, I'm assuming just, whoops, where did that go? I guess we just rename our example file, something like this, and then IPFS target. Is this proper env syntax? I always forget.
It's usually all caps on the variable name, but besides that, it all looks good. Yeah.
With under?
Either way.
Cool. And then here we would probably duplicate this to like dev or
Think development.
like that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
There we go. Okay, and to reference our var.
So process.env. Yeah, and then whatever your variable name was. There's going to be a gotcha here though, where by default environment variables are private, but because you're trying to access them from the front end here, you have to prefix it with next_public_.
So
in the files as well. Yeah, sorry.
Yeah. Okay, that answers that question. So this way it'll work both locally and on Next or Vercel.
Yeah. Well, no, sorry. Typically, because environment variable files are where you store secrets and API keys and secure kind of stuff. Next.js just requires that you prefix something with next public to be able to access it from the front end. Otherwise, those things don't get bundled. So the front end wouldn't be able to read it.
Reference.
Yeah.
Not the
No.
actual.
So they're in both. But what you're doing when you're writing that prefix into anything is you're telling Next.js like, hey, this is allowed. It
Otherwise,
prevents you
could
from
be
accidentally pulling in like an API key into the front end directly, essentially.
Okay, but to my understanding, .env still stays like this.
No, you want the full one in there.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
But
In both.
On both.
In both.
So does
Okay.
.env get loaded first and then env.development? I didn't catch that.
Yeah.
Okay.
If .development is present and you're in the development mode, like if you've run npm dev, then it'll load that one.
Got it. Yeah, I
think
just
you
quickly looked at the
restarted
doc.
the IPFS node there. You want to restart with Next.js.
That's right.
And you can see right there in the logs,
The first file access is development. Yep.
Yeah. So actually might have been wrong to CJ's question there. We should see which one it posts to by logging it.
I guess I'm just looking at the documentation for Next.js and it says it allows you to set defaults in .env, which is for all the environments, .env.development for your development environment, and .env.production for the production.
Got it.
So
we should rename our .env file to env.prod?
I think so, production, yeah. I think that should fix that. I'm assuming normal NPM.
Loaded env. Yeah, it only touched development.
And when you do start, it'll do
production. Yep.
Well,
you have to do npm run build before you do start. And then you might also need to do like
You might also need to do like a node underscore env equals production in all caps as a prefix when you're doing npm start. Vercel handles that part automatically though.
Mm-hmm. Looks like it's still caught development, and also we have some broken things here. Back imported.
Yeah, there's something weird going on with the build.
I mean, the build we know works on Vercel, so I mean,
Yeah.
I'm okay testing. I'm proud if you guys are.
That's fine.
Cool. And I think just here we are. Okay, let me just run dev again. Make sure things are looking as expected.
Because
okay. Well, localhost is off, and that's.
Oh, I think you're at port 4000, whereas I think it's like 4001 or 2 or something.
Yeah, 401. 4001 is. Or okay. Yes.
You'll have to restart the next server anytime you change the environment file. Kind of annoying.
Although also probably good to avoid magical like things happening behind the scenes.
Boom.
Okay. Nice. Great. Okay. One more thing I want to do: stick a no follow on that href, so it opens in a new tab. Don't remember what that syntax is. Target. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'll send a bunch of VS Code extensions that you'll just be able to hit Command S, and all of our formatting will be consistent.
That would
Sounds
be
great.
Fantastic.
All right. Anybody see anything that is ugly and needs fixing? Otherwise, I guess off we go. So, development we are committing. Production we are not. Is it worth adding to a git ignore file while we're at it?
And then we'll manually need to update in Vercel in their environment variable interface.
Mm-hmm. That's inside of Git, right?
Is it?
Actually, I think I
Git
can
ignore
just
should
tell.
be in the root.
Root directory.
There you go.
Huh.
And then that we're getting rid of that. So say first.
I feel like this is one of the videos that will be especially helpful to others if they come across it and trying to do the same thing.
Hope so.
High rewatchability. It's a classic episode.
Cult classic.
Mm-hmm.
Does it need the public in there as well?
Yeah.
Like that. Right. Public. Does that have HTTPS?
And you want your HTTPS.
So this is interesting. We could also have this carry over for preview branches. What is going on with Vercel's development environment? Where is this? What is this contingent on?
So production is anything that's pushed to like the main or the master branch. Preview is anything that's like any other branch or a pull request. So because this is just IPFS, it probably seems safe to, it's a different service, and you can dump stuff to the same service, regardless of whether it's on stage in production. So it seems safe to apply it to both. Development, whatever you set here, if you have a .env.development, that'll override it. So what you
okay, that's what I was wondering about. So this is safe to leave checked on.
Yeah.
Cool. That's looking nice. All right, see how our deployment went. Probably errored because it could not find our environment variable. Oh,
Uh,
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
Yeah, what is that?
Basically wants
That's a big thing.
that. I've also not seen that before. Let's see if it works. Does seem to work.
nice.
And that means our next deploy should go through cleanly because we have the end, I think, queued. I mean, part of this, what's exciting here is like there's really no terrifying like local files on servers whose state I'm not aware of and whose access is like, available to who knows who. It's just like everything is reasonably transparent and grokkable.
Yep. Minus the rel no refer part.
Yes.
Did you find anything on it?
It's a privacy thing. I don't know why Vercel needs it.
Beautiful.
Working on prod now too.
We are live.
Sweet.
We are live.
That is like way further than I was expecting us to get today.
Definitely same. Definitely same. But it has been an absolute pleasure and blast.
Oh, I'm so curious about the auth stuff now.
Yeah. It feels
I
like
want
the
to
next
see the
chapter.
magic.
Just connect the wallet and, I want to see
And the author field there.
the ETH names come through.
Yes.
We could do that
Sweet.
next step, maybe.
What's up?
Yeah.
I'd love to like schedule that, and I don't know. I could be in the driver's seat for that one.
That'd be awesome.
Cool.
That sounds fun.
Adding auth.
This is the funnest coding program I've ever been, I guess, party to. Watched.
Ooh, party.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Party.
Also got party.
Code party.
Yes. Buzzard party. Maybe for like live events. Sounds awesome. But yeah, Dave, for what it's worth, as a full-time developer, this was very enjoyable and fun. Like
Nice.
this is like, yeah, I think scheduling wise, we can either sort that out later, or I mean, I have a reasonable idea about next week. So if y'all want to do it now too, we can stick it on the calendar.
Good.
I think my only preference would be Monday or Wednesday, but I could also do Tuesday if that's easier.
Where
Do Monday anytime after 2 p.m. or Wednesday anytime.
Say, 3 Eastern Monday, or 3 Pacific Monday.
That works for us.
Yeah. Let me ask one thing, actually. Let me see.
We can leave it tentative. If something comes up, move it. Also, I mean, if somebody
3 p.m. Monday works for me.
Sweet. Also, if somebody does have a hankering and want to go in, I mean, should we like maybe queue up some PRs to review for next time as well, and just sort of get that flow like roughly going? They don't have to be anything crazy. Like a one-line CSS change, I think, is a PR, or go in and re-architect everything. But I guess maybe we could start out with that so that everybody's on the same page. We kind of get like the flow for getting those changes in ironed out, and then pick up with auth.
What's the basic? So you just commit. Well, how does that work? Like,
In a nutshell, I mean, if you're local, I guess Maybe let's do the GitHub flow just because that makes it web available.
Add all kinds of paint to the thing. There's not much to paint yet, but
yeah. So I think the only thing I'm confused about is, are we able to create new branches? Oh yeah. So if you are in the editor here on GitHub, and actually go into one of our files here, and when you edit it, before you commit the changes, it has you specify whether you want to do master or create a new branch. So
just say a new branch.
Exactly. If you're doing it locally, like with an editor, then it's going to be first you're going to want to pull to make sure you're on the latest, and then check out branch, my special feature or whatever.
Yep.
Commit to that, push to that, and then if you pushed it from your local, then it would show up here like a big banner, and that'll walk you through the rest of the flow. At which point, I think once the PR is created, Vercel will automatically add some comments to it with the deploy preview, so you can go look at it live.
Got it.
And we'll just essentially there's discussion and all that. So maybe once you create your PR, just ship it to Discord somewhere, and the rest of us will take a gander at it.
Cool.
Sweet. All right. Well, this has been great.
Great again. Another one for the books.
Woohoo!
Yes.
It's nice when it works.
Yeah.
It certainly is.
Yes.
Makes it easy.
You know what's funny is the biggest problem that we had was the live stream.
Yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. We're building with like decentralized tech here and can't get a stupid video stream to work. That's truly incredible.
Yeah, because we were running into things like the thing that's supposed to work, you only get 20 minutes and then you have to pay like a SaaS thing, and it's just fucking madness.
Yeah.
I'm really curious what the degraded audio sounds like. Like how?
Yeah, I was wondering if it would just be like, it would take it down from like concert level to like MP3 level, or would it like make it sound like I'm turning through a walkie-talkie or something in a hurricane? It would be such a sad, like, wasted recording. Yeah. So.
Cool.
So, are you gonna post the video audio then, or should we just do the Zoom one? Like, did you rig up OBS and everything, John?
No, but I think Zoom probably captured all Zoom audio channels and my screen. I'm gonna take a look at the recording right after this, and I'll let you know.
Cool.
But I'm fine to upload it if it's good.
Awesome.
Thanks for driving.
Yes,
Yeah,
thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that was fun. It was a little scary at first because I was like, oh gosh, there's like 4 people watching, and but like.
It is funny, like the concept of driving, because I like being driven around. Dave drives me around everywhere right now. I made John drive me to the grocery store. We were going to get groceries in Mexico, and I was like, I haven't driven in a month. I was like, do you mind driving? Like, I'm just used to someone driving me around. So this is like an extension of that. It's fun. Like we're in a car and we're going somewhere.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, I think like the goal would be that at some point anybody just drives and picks up like an online environment that's just pulled down and nobody's futzing around with any sort of video settings or local installs. So yeah. that'll be
And
great.
each trip will be different too, depending on like where we're going. So there's going to be times when it's not coding, but someone's driving. So
Exactly.
I like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good analogy.
I really love that everybody can kind of like ask questions during this process, learn what's going on too. Whereas with the async and the PRs, like it kind of can lose that aspect big time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah, it brings the thing to life. Like so often I've had to go like pick through this and then try to figure out how it works to even figure out how to ask the question that I'm trying to ask. So here, like being in the flow of things, I'm like, what are you doing there? I mean, I don't even need it because I can see it come in. So there's there's a narrative quality to doing it this way that's cool. Yeah.
I think it'd be fun too, once we get something up and working that we're going to use for a while, to sort of map out what we've stuck together. Because for me, I can sort of follow, just very loosely though. And I think that if we write it down like afterwards and sort of like walk through, like for someone like me to understand it, who has like a reasonable understanding, but not technical,
Yeah.
that could be kind of neat because it opens up like who might find this accessible.
Yeah, I totally see some space for like some post session docs, lightweight docs. Like doesn't have to document every single thing that was written or done, but overall flow. Shahruz, you were gonna mention.
I was going to say, Kristen, you and CJ had mentioned like the open source map, or like the map of things that we're using. Like I think we've got a couple things in there now that we pop on the map.
Yeah, I can actually start that. I should spin that up in Notion and then start messing around with it.
Yeah, actually, I have a question about that. Is that like a map just internally, or like rather related directly to the project itself, or a map of just like the entire ecosystem of Web3?
I think you could do two, and they could be potentially like related. Like we're doing, I think the idea is to do a database in a table format, so you could see it and then be able to, not just internal, anyone could go look at what's on there, but we could, like if you do two related databases, one of them is what
Could
we're
be like how we're using
and
it.
one of them is the whole world. So the what we're using would also describe how we're using it. So yeah, that makes sense.
Okay.
For us to connect.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, because I think that would be really nice. I was just thinking with all the DAO stuff and even some of these technologies like IPFS and all the things related to IPFS, like IPNS, you know, all like even the IPFS clustering or like all this is like, that all is like super like valuable knowledge, I think, to have. And some of it's like offshoots of one thing, but still very, very like useful.
Yeah, I mean, this could turn into like a very useful like menu of like, hey, you're building on Web3 and you need to solve this problem. What tool should you use? I think that becomes a very useful resource.
Yep.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Sweet.
What else? That's
Nothing.
it.
We got something on the calendar. If we need to do anything ahead of time, we can chat about it in Discord.
Yep.
Sounds great.
Thanks, guys.
Cool.
Alrighty.
Thanks, John.
Sweet.
Thanks, everyone.
Yeah.
Bye. Yeah. Thanks all.
Take care.
Bye.
Peace.